Welcome to rSlash Today I Effed Up, where one person's screw up is another person's entertainment. Today I effed up by letting my son take my wife's menstrual cup for show and tell. My wife is working out of town for a couple weeks. Sometime over the weekend, I noticed my son playing with this little silicone cup that kinda looked like a tulip. I asked him what it went to and what it did, and he proceeded to show me its versatility. Over the next few days, it helped the Paw Patrol save the town, it was a treasure chest holding tiny pebbles guarded by pirates, and a force field protecting a spaceship. It came with us to the park, grocery shopping, and even out to dinner one night. I love that it had its own little satchel and assumed it just went to a playset. Fast forward to this morning, and as we're getting ready for school, Alexa reminds us that it's show and tell day at school. So my son grabs his little silicone cup and off to school he goes. I pick him up after school, and his teacher asks to speak with me. My son looks happy, so I figure he's not in trouble, or if he is in trouble, he did something cheeky that he's proud of. Our conversation. The teacher said, "Ben's show and tell was interesting." "Yeah, it's cool, right? We've been playing with that thing for days." Mr. Scott, do you know what that is?" I start to panic. "Oh, it's not a toy?" "That is a menstrual cup." I get confused. The teacher notes my confusion. "It's, used to collect menstrual blood." I'm still confused. "It, goes inside and, collects blood." "It just stays in there?" She nods. "Are you sure? I don't think that would, fit too comfortably there." "Oh, it folds in half, then springs open inside." We're both clearly uncomfortable. Alright then, so where do I get a replacement, because my wife will probably not be too pleased when she returns home and will not want to continue using this one. My wife laughed hysterically when we told her. My son is none the wiser and is having a tea party with the cup right now. Down in the comments, "This is awesome! When we were little, my brother and I found my dad's condoms and we spent an afternoon on the front lawn playing with them. Worst water balloons ever, and why are they individually wrapped?" And then another reply. My two older boys, who were 9 and 6 at the time, were with a sitter for an evening so my husband and I could have a date night and went rummaging through my dresser drawers. They each found a colorful dildo and proceeded to have what they called a floppy lightsaber fight. My sitter told me she heard them laughing really loud and went to check on them, and they were hitting each other with them and just cracking up. One of the kids accidentally turned one on and it started to vibrate, so he held it up to his face to say how funny it felt. Then she asked the sitter if she wanted to try. She politely declined and told him to go wash up for dinner while she put the toys away. Surprisingly, she babysat for us multiple times after that. Today I effed up by ruining a vegetarian's love of gummy candy. I like to have some gummy bears at my desk in the morning, because every day is a good day when you start it with gummy bears. I always offer some to anyone who happens to pass through my office. One person in our office is a vegetarian. I'm aware of this. They passed by as another person and I were enjoying gummy bears. I quickly began to offer them one, and then halfway through my offer I was like, "Oh, sorry, right, you don't want these." They responded with, "Why wouldn't I? I love gummy bears." I stared awkwardly for a moment before responding with, "Well, they have beef gelatin in them." "What do you mean beef gelatin? Why would they use that instead of regular gelatin?" I thought all gelatin came from animals." "Are you serious? You aren't serious, right? I love gummy bears. My kid and I eat them together all the time." Their kid is a vegetarian as well. Me, now panicking. "I think I am. I don't know. Maybe you're right. I'm sorry. You're welcome to have some, but the label definitely specifies beef gelatin." They now eye my gummy bears with a strange expression of disbelief, longing, anger, and disgust. I swear I could see them going through the stages of grief because I know how sad I would be if gummy bears were ruined for me. So today I effed up by shattering a vegetarian's blissfully ignorant love of gummy bears. Today I effed up by engaging with anti-vaxxers while grieving. Obligatory, this didn't actually happen today, and I'm using a throwaway for reasons that will become clear below. A few months back, a young family member passed away unexpectedly. A social media post was put up about it, and it went viral. There were lots of kind people who commented nice and sometimes even helpful things, but there were also several with more maligned intentions. First, spammers, then a few people who just wanted to speculate wildly about cause of death in very hurtful and insane ways. And then the anti-vax community descended on it. The latter collectively wanted us to know that they knew what happened, that we could understand the tragedy better if we just talked to them. All of this was a lot to process in my grief, and I started going through comments and reporting them. My anger level rose, and before long, I convinced myself that if I just messaged them and told them that the autopsy showed something 100% unrelated, that they'd lay off, that we would maybe even get an apology. As I wrote the first message, I convinced myself that people are decent and they just misunderstood, probably. I continued writing a few others. Yeah, couldn't have been more wrong about that. I got back messages from each with different insane takes on it. Then I started getting messages from other people I've never heard of. At the private, unannounced service, 2 women came up to me in the parking lot wanting to hug. I assumed they were from the other side of the family, people I'd met, but I just wasn't immediately recalling them, so I obliged. They expressed their sorrow, asked a few questions, and then began explaining that they had research that they'd like to share. One pulled out pages of handwritten notes about the dangers of vaccinations and how it relates to the deceased. Thankfully, the employees of the funeral home helped me dispense of them quickly, at least. I continued getting messages on social media and later learned that my info had been spreading from one social media group to another, along with any details they gleaned about the death from me. I eventually started getting phone calls even, though my number isn't out there in any easy to find place. One person went to the link to write up over 20 pages of facts about the death, including a section on how my loved one's death can further their cause politically. I couldn't even be mad. At least she was honest in her intention, unlike the others. It's been months, and still I'm being hounded almost every single day by crazies all over the country. I've learned my lesson and don't respond or acknowledge them in any way now, nor have I for a while. I haven't mentioned this to any of my family members because we're all so broken right now, and this is way too much on top of it. I just hope none of them are getting the same treatment. Then we have this contribution down in the comments. So we had new neighbors move in a few months ago. My wife and I made the effort to walk down the street and introduce ourselves and our 2-year-old son. It was all going great until they started hinting at and then outright stating they're anti-vaxxers. I replied, "Oh, wow, I only plan on letting my son play with the autistic kids. That way I know they're vaccinated." They were so confused because they didn't know if I was encouraging or making fun of their ridiculous beliefs. Today I effed up by being too horny to notice something had gone horribly wrong. Well, this didn't happen today, but it was a funny story that I couldn't share with Reddit at the time. Rewind back to me at 14 years old. Awkward, naive, constantly horny, and still oblivious to the fact that websites dedicated to passionate hugging existed. As such, my attempts to find stimulating material usually resulted in me typing boobs and butts and thongs into Google search and then immediately deleting my history. One night, to avoid watching TV with my dad, his wife, and her 2 kids downstairs, I claimed that I had homework to do. Of course, this was a lie. I just wanted boobs and butts and thongs and some private time. So I fired up the old desktop, got Internet Explorer up and running, went straight to Google, and started getting my freaky on. Now, this is where things went wrong. I got horny and forgot the layout of my house. You see, my bedroom was upstairs and I had no door. A sort of spiral staircase, think straight edges though, led up to my open room, which was located almost directly above the living room, where, again, my dad, his wife, and her 2 kids were watching TV. The desktop was right next to the staircase, but I figured that the TV was loud enough to mask the sounds of my sins. I was right. But what I didn't account for was the big white wall directly to my right that the staircase adjoined, and how it was visible from the living room. I also didn't register that the reading lamp on my nightstand, which was turned on and so very bright, was to my left and pointed directly at me. I eventually did notice, however, that the TV downstairs had gone quiet and that no one in the living room was talking. And that's when I turned to my right and looked at the wall and realized that I was casting a giant shadow puppet of me masturbating across its entire length. A perfect shadow projection of my member and hand stretched across its surface. And I had no idea how long ago the people downstairs had noticed it. So I did what anyone would do in that situation. I put my dick away, as did my shadow puppet, pulled up my pants, walked into my bathroom, and sat there until I heard the TV come back on. Then I went to bed without saying a word and left early for school the next day. No one ever brought it up, and I'm thankful. But I know what they saw, and I'm still cringing. OP, that wasn't your mistake. The real mistake was not giving a 14-year-old boy a bedroom door. Today I effed up by looking up my school bully. So, a little backstory. My family moved to a whole new country where we didn't speak the language when I was 12 years old, and they put me in a normal school and told me to just deal with it. I struggled like heck because I didn't speak a single word of English. The school they put me in was also rated one of the worst schools in the country. Not just because of academic performance, but also due to crime statistics. 2 separate stabbings happened on school premises while I was there. Anyway, I tried my hardest to ingratiate myself in the culture, the people, and the language. One guy just completely hated my guts from day one. No idea why or what I did to him, but he just absolutely hated me and showed it. He was your typical delinquent, stealing, ruining people's property, skipping school, drugs, fighting, gang-related activities, you name it, he's probably been involved in it. So that's the kind of person I'm talking about. He would beat me up with his friends in tow, constantly taking the piss out of my accent and my English in class, in front of the teachers and all. There was a couple of occasions where they pushed me into a puddle of mud just before school started. Or would follow me into the toilet while I was pissing and try to choke me out from behind. I naturally had to find ways to survive by knowing which toilets to use and when to leave school and which exits to use, where to sit in class, etc. Once, this failed and him and his friends found me outside of school and beat the brakes off of me. Literally couldn't do anything. There were like 20 plus boys and some men who came after school to meet them. I just curled up and tried to do my best to protect my head. The only thing that kept me sane that entire time was the knowledge that none of this would matter when we grow up. I would have a family, a job, be an upstanding member of society, and he would be in prison, or at the very least, not doing well. Karma has to work, right? The world can't be that unfair. Fast forward 15 years. I haven't kept in contact with anyone from that school. I didn't make any friends, and I didn't develop Stockholms. I looked him up on Facebook. He owns a very successful business. He has a beautiful wife and 2 young kids. He lives in the best part of town. He owns a huge house and a few very expensive cars. He is doing incredibly well as opposed to me, not married, no kids, no job, and back living with my parents. This has completely messed me up for the past 5 days, and I just can't get over the BS I was fed. Karma will get him for you. I think karma missed. I'm going to leave you with this saying, OP. Comparison is the thief of joy. Today I effed up by catcalling my husband. About a week ago, I was running errands with my 1 and 3-year-old boys. We had some time to kill, and my 3-year-old said that he wanted to see his daddy. So we picked up lunch and took it to my husband's work so that he could have a hot lunch instead of leftovers from the night before. We got the boys out of their car seats and let them sit in our laps as we all ate chicken and fries in the front seat. Then my husband took us for a tour around his shop. He works in sheet metal and makes air ducts. Our kids loved it. As we were leaving, I saw my husband walking into the building and honked at him, calling out, "Hey, nice butt, babe." Then it happened. My 3-year-old yelled, "Nice butt, daddy," which quickly turned into, "Nice butt, mama." I tried my best to ignore it, even though he kept repeating it. I thought that the worst was over when he eventually forgot about it. I was wrong. Now, almost a week later, he's yelling out our living room window, "Nice butt, Papa," what he calls our elderly neighbor. "Nice butt, Mama. Nice butt, baby," his little brother. I don't think we'll be leaving the house today. Then we had this contribution down in the comments. I was once walking around a Tesco's and there was what I assume a babysitter and a 3 to 4-year-old. The babysitter was on the phone and ended up saying, "Are you effing kidding me?" The toddler then was running around. Are you effing kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? The babysitter trying desperately to quiet the kids, saying, no, 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 please don't say that, which just made the kids say it louder and louder. I wonder what happened when the parents got home. That was rSlash, today I effed up, and if you like my videos, please hit that like button. Hitting the like button really helps out this video and my channel and helps YouTube promote my videos to other people. So do me a favor and smack that like button.